Okay. So in this session, in this lecture today, we are going to discuss about one of the significant topics from the grammar. The title of the topic is active voice and passive voice. Okay. Generally, many students find this topic little bit difficult or hard. But actually, if you study this topic thoroughly in proper way, so definitely this topic is going to be easy for you. Okay. So let us first discuss what is meant by active sentence and passive sentence. And when you understand exactly what is meant by active voice or active sentence or passive voice or passive sentence, then you will understand this topic in proper. Okay, in which context, in which situation we use active sentence and passive sentence. See, when we communicate with other people, when we interact with other people in English language, in our interactions, in our communication, sometimes we use active sentences, sometimes we use passive sentences. Okay. So our communication, our spoken communication is a blending, is a fusion, is a combination of both the types, active sentence and passive sentence. It cannot happen. You may not communicate in active sentence with the help of active sentences throughout your communication. It is also not possible. You cannot communicate, you cannot speak, you cannot use passive sentences from the starting to end in your communication. And that's why I made a statement. Communication is a fusion. Communication is a blending of both the types, active sentence and passive sentence. So my question is, in which context, in this situation, we use active sentence and passive sentence? So it will be discussed later on. Okay. So first of all, we will see what is meant by active sentence. Okay. Active sentence. So active sentence is one of the types of the sentences. Okay. If you look at the term active sentence. Okay. If you compare English language with Marathi language, in each language the sentence has fixed standard pattern of sentence. Isn't it? If you look at the sentences in the paragraphs in the extract of the lessons, you will see that each sentence in English language begins with subject and each sentence in English language ends with object, sometimes with complement. Okay, but generally each sentence in English language begins with subject and ends with object. Okay. And in the middle, the subject is followed by verb. So this is the standard pattern we follow, we use while writing or while talking with other people in English language to communication. Okay. So let us take one example. I write an application. So this is the sentence based on according to the standard pattern in English language. So if you observe this sentence carefully, the sentence is constructed as per the standard pattern in English language. I is subject and application is object. Okay. And write is verb. Okay. The sentence begins with the first person singular pronoun I. The sentence ends with the phrase or the words and application. This is the option. Now I will say that this is an active sentence. Why? Why do I call this sentence as an active sentence? There must be some reason. So before a few days, we discussed all the patterns of 12 tenses. At that time also I had told you, every pattern begins with subject and every pattern ends with object. Okay, so when the sentence begins with the subject, now one more question arises in our mind. What is meant by subject? What part of the sentence is considered as a subject in the sentence in English language? We also discussed this in the previous sessions. Subject. Subject means what? Yes, very.
Doer of the action.
Correct. He is right. So, subject is that part of the sentence in which the doer of the action is present there. For example, if you look at this sentence, in this sentence, I, the part I, tells us who is the doer of the action, who is performing the action of writing an application. Okay? So from this part, we come to know the doer of the action, and doer of the action is always labeled as the subject of the sentence. One more thing I would like to clarify. Subject may consist single word as we have in this sentence. Single word I is subject. Subject may consist 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, 5 words, 6 words. Then, for example, if I write we had discussed it in the previous sessions. Let us look at this sentence. The old man with umbrella writes an application. And if I ask you, which is the subject in this sentence? I told you the subject may consist 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, 5 words. There is no limit. Which action is being described in the second sentence? The same action. Writing an application. Okay. Now, an application is being written. Somebody is writing an application. Okay. Now, who is writing an application? If I ask you a question, who is writing an application? You cannot answer in this with old man. You cannot speak. You cannot break the subject. Isn't it? So if I ask you a question, who is writing an application? Your answer must be the old man with an umbrella. Your answer will be the old man with an umbrella. So this part, this whole part is the subject of this sentence. You cannot split this part here, and if you split, then your answer will be wrong. Because when we transform, when we convert the active sentence into passive sentence, the first basic step is the student must find out the complete subject of the given sentence. And if you succeed in pointing out the complete subject and complete object, I will discuss object later on. But first of all, the basic first step is you should succeed in finding out the complete subject of the given active sentence. Okay? Because when we transform active sentence into passive, what do? We shift, we transfer the subject at the place of object, and we again shift object in the beginning of the sentence at the place of subject. So, transforming, converting active sentence into passive sentence is nothing but shifting the locations, transferring the locations of subject and object. So, this is the first point we need to study in active voice sentences. Okay. The second thing normally we do while transforming active sentence into passive sentence is that we have to make little bit changes in the forms of the verbs, auxiliary verbs and main verbs. Okay. So when we make particular changes in the form of auxiliary verbs or main verbs, so the student must have the knowledge of the tenses. How many tenses are there in this language? Yes, you start up. 12 tenses. Okay. In one of the sessions, I had told you, out of 12 tenses, we can transform active sentence into passive sentence only from 8 tenses. No paper setter will give you the sentence from rest of the 4 tenses. And you should also know which are these 8 tenses where active sentence can be transformed into passive sentence. Which are the rest of the 4 tenses where we cannot transform active sentence into passive sentence. Okay. So we will discuss it later on. Let us look at this sentence. Now I want to transform this active sentence into passive sentence. So my first responsibility duty is to point out the complete subject and complete object in the given sentence. I discussed how to point out the complete subject. Complete subject is the lower of the edge. Okay, in the same way, we have to find out the complete object. How can we find out the object? You ask the question to the subject with the help of two WHs, what and whom. If you take the answer by asking the question with the WH word, what, then don't use whom. And if you don't get the answer by asking the question with the WH word, what, then use the second WH word, that is whom. Okay. Say, what do I write? I got the answer and I asked the question to the subject with the help of the WH word, what, and I got the answer. What do I write? And attention. So this is the complete object of the given sentence. This is the complete subject of the given sentence. Now, I have pointed out two significant parts of the sentence which are necessary, which are useful to transform the active sentence into passive sentence. Okay. Now, as the active sentence begins with the subject and ends with the object, passive sentence begins with the object and ends by subject. There also we have to make some little bit changes when we shift the subject at the place of the object. Okay? See, now I transform it into see, now I am transforming the active sentence into passive sentence. I started the passive sentence with object. I have started the passive sentence with this object. Okay, so this is object, complete object, and this is subject. As I told you, passive sentence always begins with the object of the original given sentence. Which is the original sentence? This. This is object, and I have shifted it in the beginning of the passive sentence. Once you start your passive sentence with object, so let us look at the object here. Confirm, make sure whether the object is singular or plural. An application. What do you think? Yes? You stand up? What do you think? The object is singular or plural?
Yes.
Yes, you stand up?
Single. Single.
Singular. I have used the article and indicates the noun used after that article is singular. An application is a singular subject. Sorry, object. Okay, slow. Singular an application. Now the second step is to use auxiliary verb. If there is an auxiliary verb in the original sentence, confirm the singularity and plurality of the object and decide which auxiliary verb can be used. And also you will have to make sure from which tense the given sentence is. I write an application. What is the name for the given sentence?
Simple present.
Simple present tense. Correct. He is right. Simple present tense. If the sentence is from simple present tense, when transforming a sentence into passive sentence, we use and is are. And is are. And the selection of auxiliary verb depends on what type of object is there in the beginning of the passive sentence. If here the object would have plural, then we would have used are. But now application and application the singular object. We are going to use an application is. Okay. Then use the third form of the verb. In passive sentence, we always use past participle form of the verb. What is the past participle form of the verb? Return. An application is returned. Okay. Now, we will have to shift this subject at the end of the sentence. But before, we use the phrase by. Okay. Now I am going to explain very significant point. If the subject of the original active sentence is pronouns I, we, you, they, he, she, then we do not shift that pronoun as it is at the end of the passive sentence. We have to convert the subjective case of the pronoun in objective case. What is the objective case of the I? Me. Okay, so here we are going to use me. Many times students get confused. The active sentence begins with I and the passive sentence ends with Y. We cannot use the subjective case of the original active sentence into passive. We have to transform it into objective case. I, me, we, us, he, him, she, her, study, you, it. Understood? So I hope you must have understood what is meant by active sentence, what is meant by passive sentence. In the next session, I will explain more examples and we will move towards the second tense, that is present continuous tense. Thank you.